Well, KVK is definitely over, and as you guys know, we skipped Kingsland. But today we get to go through all of my stats to figure out if I'm deadweight or not. Join me to find out. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another Rise of Kingdoms gameplay episode from your very own Shappy Gaming. And today we are talking about my stats in this KVK. To refresh your memory, this is over 20 kingdoms in this KVK, which is absolutely crazy to me. It was a huge KVK, but unfortunately the teams were not great. So this is the matchmaking, and I guess it is 20 kingdoms rather than over, whatever. This was the matchmaking that Lilith set up here. And the teams in this KVK, if you guys remember, were fire and water versus earth and wind. Now, these teams were objectively kind of unfair because fire had a ton of whales. That was pretty much all they had. Water is an amazingly strong kingdom and camp with 1029 leading. So this wasn't the best teams. And I made a whole video talking about that. You can check that out on the top right side of your screen. I'm not going to get into that right now. But the important thing to keep in mind as I talk through this particular video is that Kingsland never happened. Now, most players get probably a third of their kills in KVK in Kingsland minimum. Between Kingsland, the fighting immediately after Kingsland, if there's still a little bit of fun there, usually it's about a third of your kills come from Kingsland. That's just speaking from my experience, especially when we talk about your deads. The typical standard these days is you save most of your deads until Kingsland because you're not going to be bringing farms in to fill in Kingsland. That's just weird. I guess you could do it. Also, if you guys are new to the channel, my name's Shappy. I'm a sponsored Rise of Kingdoms content creator, and I'm pumped to have you guys here. If you enjoy content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button right over there, bottom right-hand corner, the bell, so you get notified when new episodes come out. So, these were the teams. Now, let's actually stop hedging and start talking about what I did and what I didn't do. So, here we are. We got the game over here. Come over to my city. You will see I am 82.28 million power. That is quite a bit of power. And going into this KVK, I was just about 78 million power, which you could see on top there. And that's from my other video, which I made before I went in. You can check that out on the top right side of your screen. Now, it's a pretty good sign that we're going to have problems when my power is higher coming out of KVK than it was going into KVK. And I'm not pumped about this. I mean, that's essentially 400,000 troops differential if we're looking at all T5 from going in to coming out. That said, I did push a little bit in pre-KVK. So that 78 million is not entirely accurate. I really started closer to 80. But still, I didn't kill very many troops. And so we're going to jump into my kills and my deads because I think that's kind of a problem. So let's start with the deads because I think the deads are easy to explain. So I only got 286,000 deads. If you've been a fan of the channel for a while, you know that I love killing my troops. Like, love it. Got 0 last KVK, love killing my troops, swarming flags, jumping into rallies, jumping into garrisons, and I know there's going to be some people in the comments, Shappy, you don't have enough power or enough stats or enough armaments or equipment to actually be swarming flags. You're probably right. But it didn't happen this KVK anyways. So this was the breakdown of my deads. You can see it was really mostly archers just from the few rallies we had in Zone 5. Honestly, we didn't really have a lot of deads happen at Pass 7 opening. So this was it. And believe it or not, I think this was more than most people in my kingdom. And I'll pull up our kingdom stats just to put things into perspective. But that's what I got. I'm not happy with this. I would have gotten more deads had there been more opportunity to. But there really wasn't. This KVK just didn't have a lot of combat. I mean, even if we look over here, the lost kingdom points, we didn't make S tier. Only 1,300 governors broke 10 million points. So it was kind of a low scoring KVK, all things considered. If we go over to the expedition leaderboard, you can actually see that the top kill points were 1.2 billion. And then everything else, even Redline was over here at 471 million points. So, I mean, the points here are not crazy by any means. The 100th best score is 188 million. So these aren't kill points exactly. They're OTARC points. So just keep that in mind. But overall, like, not that high a score. Death points were even less. I mean, this is crazy. Not very many deads were taken, and especially not in our zone. So again, we were fighting on the top side. We never really fought water at all, but Earth did not have a whole lot of deads kind of universally. So you have fire and water and wind mostly. Earth didn't do the best. Our camp itself did not do particularly well. And there were other reasons for that. Heal points are inconsequential. So that's what we got from a dead standpoint. Now let's talk about kills. Because kills, I started this KVK at, a fairly good point. But again, my kills are not what I really wanted them to be. So if we go over to my kills here, I ended it with about 17.86 million kills. Not great. Not great at all. This is probably my lowest scoring KVK in a long time. Again, typically I would get about 10 million kills in Kingsland. That's been the norm in just about every other KVK I've been in. You can check the videos in the past, which I've done this same video a bunch of different times. So this sucks. This really sucks. It's not what I would have wanted. And to be honest, I probably would have fought more even at past 7 before we called it, but we did call it, and that was that. So this is really disappointing to me. I wish that I had better stats to show you guys, but I just got to be honest and show you what I have. I could have gone and traded and gotten a bunch more kills, but I wanted to be candid with you guys. And even now, I'm questioning whether I'll even try and hit this 20 million kill point mark. I like those materials and I like the gold heads, so maybe, but like, we'll see. So that's where we are from a kill point standpoint. Now, how does this actually translate to kill points though, right? I talked about the number of kills I got, but I should put it into perspective when we look at kill points as well. So again, I started KVK at 5.883 and I'm finishing KVK at 6290. Some of these kill points, yeah, I think all of these kill points actually were from KVK. Yeah. So this is great. So overall, I feel pretty good about this. It's about 400 million kill points, which are legit, and I'll take it. It's, again, not as much as I really wanted, which is slightly frustrating when we look at kind of what happened this KVK, but yeah, a little bit of a bummer there. It's about, what is that, 410 million kill points. Not great. Usually I try to shoot for closer to 600 or even more. I mean, as my account gets stronger, I should be trying to get more and more kill points every KVK. It just didn't really happen this time. So that's the kill point breakdown. Let's look at my speed ups and my resources, since I know you guys love seeing that. So as you saw in my last video, I gave a shout out to Wingmaster. I'll do it again here. He migrated mid KVK and just dropped all his resources on me. What an absolute legend. So I am at 9.3 billion food, 9.5 billion wood, 10.3 billion stone, and 5.9 billion gold. This is the best place I think I've been at resources really ever. And my farms are actively gathering. So going into the next KVK, I'm going to be set up for success. But for this KVK, I didn't really spend all that much resources just because of kind of how everything shook out. My trades were mostly okay. If we take a look at where I started at 4.4, 7.8, 6.8, and 3.4, and I finished kind of positive there. So overall, resources are not going to be a problem for this next KVK. I can go and actually look over here and show you guys exactly how many resources I consumed. I don't expect it's going to be all that much. So it looks like I only spent 8.5 million resources. So again, did not spend all that much, and that's billion, not million. So overall, it looks like I was mostly spending food and wood, which makes sense because my QSH was being fielded a ton and we're going to be going through the stats where I show you which commanders did the best. QSH probably did the best. I haven't even done the math, and I can tell you he probably did the best because he's just so good. So that was how we shook out with resources. What about Speedups? Because no one gave me Speedups. Speedups just kind of happen or don't. So this is where I am with Speedups. 48 days of building, 244 days of research, 291 days of training, 6 days of healing, and 1,867 days of universals. And I also have a bunch of boxes, but those don't come into play here. So how did I start this KVK? Well, let's find out. I started this KVK with 46 days of building. So I actually managed to build all of my structures and come out on top, which is perfect. To 454 days of research speedups, which obviously I converted a bunch when they gave us the Trash to Treasure event, so that makes sense. 287 days of speedups, and now I'm at 291. And again, remember, I'm like 400k troops higher than I was when I started. So a lot of those speedups, it looks like about 200 days of speedups got converted into units, which is totally fine. And then my healing speedups, they're all gone. They never existed to begin with. 21 days to 6 days, completely inconsequential. Now, what's interesting here is that my universal speedups actually went up, which I was surprised. I thought that this would have gone down, but yeah, it looks like I've managed to get about 37 days more of universal speedups. So I should be ready to go first pop. I've got the resources, I've got the speedups. I'm ready to go for this next KVK. Again, really bummed about this one. Kind of didn't even want to make this video, to be honest. So that's where we are from a speed up standpoint. And yeah, that's kind of where we are. So let's go to everyone's favorite part of the video, and I'll play the clip because I know everyone loves it.
Which commander did the best? We're gonna figure out who's better than the rest.
Perfect. So let's take a look at who I think probably performed the best, and that is going to be QSH. So QSH is now at 7.16 million kills, and I think this is only his second KVK. QSH is an absolute animal, guys, and he actually makes me question my entire March setup because he's doing so well, and with the new crystal tech, it puts me in kind of a weird spot because I end up investing heavily into archer tech when I only have one archer march. So I'm hoping this next archer release gives us a second good archer march, because maybe I'll swap out an infantry march. I've got that weird kind of wedge formation march, which we'll talk about. But overall, I think QSH probably did the best. But let's actually find that out by looking at the previous stats for QSH. So it looks like QSH actually started at 3.892 million kills. So that looks like I brought in roughly 3.2 million kills on this commander alone, which is pretty good. We'll check out Zhuge Liang next. But my guess is that between QSH and Zhuge Liang, they brought in probably a third of my kills. We'll figure that out. Again, I'm at around 17.8 million kills that I got this KVK. Not very much, but let's actually jump in and go find where Zhuge Liang is at, and I'll put the stats on here as well. So that is where QSH is. QSH is in really good shape. Zhuge Liang is at 25 million kills. Yo, what is that about? I remember my first KVK with Zhuge Liang, especially when I was running him with Herman. I don't think he did particularly well. Let me actually check this real quick. This will be fun. 25 million kills. Now, I didn't really use Zhuge without Herman before QSH came out. Look at that. That's like 15 million kills since QSH came out on Zhuge Liang. That's absolutely cracked. Okay, so he's at 25 million kills now. Where was he when KVK started, right? That's the big magic question here. And he was at 22 million kills. So it looks like, yeah, we bought in just about 3.2 million kills. And again, the number will be on the screen for you guys. Overall, I'm pretty happy with that. That's 6 million kills across both of them. Actually, 6.5 million kills across both of them, which does make up more than a third of the kills that I got this KVK. You know, a third of 18 would be 6. So, wow. I'm blown away. I need another QSH march. Let me know what you guys think is the strongest march in the game aside from QSH Suge Liang, and don't say QSH YSG because that doesn't count. I'm looking for another march that'll get me a bunch of kills. So, okay, so there's Suge Liang. Now, my guess for the next highest killer is going to be Bai Chi. Again, I haven't checked any of this. But Bai Chi is now at 5.272 million kills, which doesn't feel like a lot. I'm pretty sure I maxed Bai Chi and QSH at the same time. So that feels slightly underwhelming. Just going to be honest here. But let's actually see what his stats were. So we got Bai Chi stats, and it looks like he actually started KVK at 2.912, which is also relatively low. So overall, I think I said in the previous video that I was surprised at how low his kill count was, but all things considered, that means he brought in 2.2 million kills, just about, the math will be on the screen, 2.2 million kills this KVK. That's fine. It's a little less than I was honestly expecting him to bring in, but we can check some of the other commanders that I ran, and we'll see kind of where that came from. So let's move on from Bai Chi, and actually let's go check Lu Che. Now, the reason that I said this is because when I started KVK, I started with Bai Chi Lu Che as my main, march. That was my main infantry march. And then I had a secondary march, which was Scipio, Ragnar, or Ragnar Scipio. It doesn't really matter. And then I changed that. I benched Ragnar, and I ran Bai Chi with William Wallace, and I ran Lu Che behind Scipio using the skill formation, which isn't the best, but Scipio Lu Che is actually a really good march. So we'll see if Lu Che did significantly better than by BQ. So here's Lu Che's stats: 25.7 million kills, just about. He's been a huge killer for me pretty much since I maxed him. He's one of the best commanders in the game. And I actually made a short saying that he was the best commander in the game and got a lot of people really angry. But alas, I still think he's pretty great. Now, let's check out how he started this KVK. He started this KVK at 23.52 million kills. This means that he ended up getting just over 2.15 million kills, which is not very high for my Lu Che march. Now, my guess is maybe I split my capacity, and instead of having one really good infantry march, I ended up with two pretty good infantry marches. So hopefully that's the case. I'm going to go check William Wallace and Scipio next, and we'll see if that's actually how that materialized. Who knows? So let's jump over to Scipio, because I know Scipio is a beast. And Scipio is at 20.198 million kills. Now, where was he going into this KVK? That is the magical. So going into this KVK, Scipio was at 19.3 million kills, which really means I got just under 1.8 million kills on him. Kind of underwhelmed. It makes me question whether swapping around the commanders was the right move. My trades holistically were really good, so I just don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Did I make a mistake here? Should I just max Philip and move on with my life? I really don't know kind of what to do about this, because that's not a lot of kills, and I put Scipio with Lu Che because I thought that would work. So, not sure how I feel about that. But what this will enable us to do is actually figure out what the breakdown is between the kills that Scipio Lu Che got and that contribution to Lu Che's kills versus the contribution that we got from Lu Che with BQ. And the way that we're going to see that is we're actually going to go check William Wallace. Now, William Wallace, you have to remember, was on the bench up until I made that swap, which means any net new kills he got were because of that swap. So he's at 9.91 million kills. I think that's pretty good for a commander that really was supposed to be on the bench this KVK. So wasn't planning on using him really at all, but let's see what his stats were. So it looks like he started this KVK with 9.3 million kills. So he only brought in like 600,000 kills. Now, to be fair, I do think he only saw combat in Pass 7, which means that he got 600,000 kills in like a day. But again, that's not very much. Yeah, I don't know. My infantry marches are kind of a mess. This is not great. I'm a little disappointed in William Wallace. I thought that swap was going to be better from a kill standpoint. I guess it was better from a trade standpoint, but it doesn't feel like it. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. I'm a little underwhelmed by him. I thought that was going to be significantly better. Well, while we're at this, let's go check Ragnar, because Ragnar did get to fight in that first zone, and he is at 5.6 million kills. But where was he at the beginning? Let's find out. So he sucked too. He only brought in about 500,000 kills. So he got even less kills than William Wallace. I don't know what to do, guys. My infantry is a mess. This is terrible. I mean, I know that QSH carried me this KVK, but my infantry marches just did not do well, and I upgraded my equipment and I swapped around the march, and this is just really bad. Yeah, I don't know. That's really disappointing, if I'm being honest. Maybe it's because the infantry were getting clapped by the archers because QSH is just so absolutely broken. I really don't know. But okay, fine. Maybe cavalry's going to make it all feel better. So Arthur should have been my best cavalry march and probably my best cavalry commander. He's at 9.182 million kills, which feels good. That feels pretty good. Let's see where he started this KVK at. I'm a little nervous. I got to be honest, guys. I'm a little nervous having seen how everything shook out previously. Let me go find that. So Arthur's skills and damage were slightly better than the infantry marches. So he started at 8.135 million kills. Now he's at 9.182. That is just about squarely a million kills. It's not great, but it's better than some of my infantry marches. I mean, I think the challenge that I'm hitting is Luce did fairly well. BQ did fairly well. Like I kind of expected that they would. My cavalry didn't do great, and my secondary infantry did terribly. Like, once I split them, they didn't really do very well at all. So, I'm not really sure what to do here. So, let's go check out Arthur's partner in crime, and that was William. Now, William did pretty good last KVK. Let's double check. So, he started at 15.158 million kills. William has overall done surprisingly well for me. And when he started, he was at 14.112. So yeah, he got just about a million kills too. It makes sense. I paired them together, so in theory, the kill breakdown should be identical. So this makes sense to me. Overall, I'm pretty happy with that. I think all things considered, this march brought in about 2 million kills out of 17.8, which is like, let's round up to 18 million kills. That's not all that much. That's like 1/9 of my kills came from this entire march. Not great. Not great. I need the new cavalry to do well. I think what I'm realizing is when the way I fight, I really need normal damage and smite damage and, basic damage output. And I don't have a whole lot of that, especially when we're talking about fighting whales. It's just not great. So let's go over and check out Ho Chi Bing. Ho Chi Bing is at 25.123 million kills. Some of these commanders' kill numbers are really getting up there. And coming into this KVK, he was at, oh, this is interesting. He was at 23.9 million kills. So my secondary cavalry march actually got just about a million kills as well. Slightly more, actually, 1.2 million kills. Now that's fun, because I was running Ho Chi Bing with Joan, and I was running Arthur with William. Now what this means is that my splitting of the commanders for this and running Arthur William and Ho Chi Bing Joan actually was a good call, because I ended up getting relatively the same number of kills. And if you guys recall, before I benched Nevsky, one march was doing significantly better than the other. So I'm actually okay with this. This is fine. I feel pretty good about this. I'm not worried about that. That's nice. So that was a good call. let's check out Joan of Arc and see how she did. She should have, in theory, done just as well as Ho Chi Bing did. So Joan of Arc started at 20, just about 20 million kills, and now she's at 21.3. So again, just about 1.2 million kills from this March. That's pretty good. I think Ho Chi Bing Joan might have done better than Arthur William, which is surprising. Maybe it's the armaments. Maybe it's just the way I deploy them. I really don't know. The other thing that could have happened is Arthur William could have gotten targeted first because you don't want their skill cycle to happen. And because of the short amount of fighting, the double skill cycle from Joan just pumped up the kills of that March. I really don't know. But that's kind of surprising to me, if I'm being honest. So overall, my commanders did all right. This wasn't my best KVK. It was probably my worst in a long, long time. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Am I dead weight, or was this just a bad KVK and we're going to have to see what happens next? Also, one more thing. To put things into perspective, here's the stats from everyone in this KVK, which I thought probably would help make my point a little bit better. So here we are. We have all the stats here. And what you'll see is I am right there, Chappy Gaming, number 16 in my entire kingdom rankings. I don't think I've ever been this high ever, but we're in 2098, very, very low A seed. And so that's how I ultimately did. I think I hit, 60% of my goals here? Let's see. Yeah, just about 65% of my goals, which isn't awesome, but it's okay. Now, let's see where I, in theory, should be based upon my power. So if we go by power alone, I am the 50th strongest player in the kingdom by power. So by that policy, I think I did pretty well relative to the rest of my kingdom. So let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. If you've enjoyed, be sure to drop a like on this video and hit that subscribe button right over there, bottom right-hand corner. Thank you all. Chappy out.